build it, you demolish it. The legendary Homewrecker Burrito. Come build yours today with 20+ fresh ingredients.
First online order, 10% off. Promo code ONLINE.
Welcome back to Over the Boards. Coach, it's our last one. I'm your host, Delaney Kearns. Joining me, as always, head coach of the IcePack, Tim Healy. Coach, how have you been?
A little bit more free time on my hands than I'd like. It's always kind of a bittersweet time of this year, but, you know, unfortunately, only one team really ends the season the way they want to once you get to the postseason. Yeah. So, you know, it is what it is there.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But I would like to mention that Over the Boards is hosted or sponsored by Moe's. Thank you to Moe's for sponsoring us all season, actually. You can order online at moescatersrally.com or call 919-999-399. And don't forget, not this season, but it'll count next season now that it's over.
We'll be back, yeah.
That when IcePack win a home game, you can go to the Moe's in Village District and get free queso.
You know, for next year, we may even have some more. Different food sponsors. We're grateful of Moe's, but, you know, a couple of years ago, Wade Minter, there was a goal score that activated 3 food things for the Canes. They called it the fat trick, so we're working on, the fat trick next year. Hopefully we'll have Moe's back. You have Potbelly. And then we had 2 Roosters come at the end of the year for our youth starter. He hasn't had to give much ice cream away as part of the Kevin Keats Road basketball win. So maybe we need to transfer that to hockey to have the fat trick coming out: ice cream, a cookie, and queso. Not queso on the ice cream. That would be that'd be too much. But we could work on that there. But you could go get a sandwich, get some queso, and then get some ice cream. Have a nice little afternoon.
The fat trick. I like it. All right. Well, last we talked, it was like late January. We were talking about that Virginia Tech game that was coming up. We now know that it was a high-scoring game, but it did end in an overtime loss, 6-5. But, what was your biggest takeaway from that game? How did it kind of play out?
That was just a wild game. That was a stretch where, Zach Herman scored late to send it to overtime. Overtime losses are going to become a theme, and they're a theme for this year and a theme for this episode. And being disciplined in your changes in 3-on-3 overtime, stuff like that. Bad pass, bad clear. Overall, it was an exciting game, great crowd, but one, that's one we should have won, right? And we'll talk about that a lot, right? One we should have won.
Yeah.
Some really good individual performances in it. But again, right? If you go back and watch it too, it's a little bittersweet now. We even got an apology from the Officials Association because the game winner was offsides and overtime.
That's tough.
But, we set ourselves up for that, right? Like a bad clear, a bad change, right? Like you set yourself up for it. Shouldn't have gone to overtime to begin with, right? Like, that first period, you can't win a game in the first period, but you can set yourself up to potentially lose it. And that's a little bit of what happened there.
Yeah, but then they turned around the next day, traveled to Virginia, flip the script.
I thought that was one of our best games of the year.
Yeah.
Again, we were down 2-1 at the end of the first, and we just played a terrific second period. Won the second period. I think it was 1-1 after 1, went down 2-1 early in the second. Then we got out to a 4-2 lead. And then we just did a great job of locking it down in the third period. Virginia Tech's a really high scoring team, and they'll come up again in the playoffs. And, at the end, we played them 4 times this year, and we only had they only scored 2 5-on-5 goals against us.
Okay, yeah.
Prolific power play, opportunistic, shorthanded. But we really did a great job with them that night, and we stayed out of the box. And in the third period, again, just a terrific job. You want to close out a game well, and that was something we struggled with a lot this year. But that was a game we did such a great job in the third period, locking it down, taking away the middle.
Yeah, for sure. And then we were just talking about, overtime losses. Then UNC.
Yeah.
I feel like we're always talking about playing UNC.
Well, we do. I mean, we play more than anyone else, right? Like they're our closest team. And, and I think the fans love seeing us play them.
It brings in a good crowd.
It was a great crowd. That was a great crowd that night. I think that night, was our second largest crowd ever at
Wow.
Invisalign. And I'll say
And that says something.
well, and probably our largest, shall we say, legal crowd in terms of the
Of what's
fire marshal.
allowed,
We had
yeah.
we had one game last year where
Oh,
the
yeah.
counting got a little bit screwed up, and we definitely let in more
That
than we
one
should
was
have. And that
chaotic.
was after we changed. After that, we changed the ticketing system. So certainly our largest crowd since that
Yeah.
ACU game. And again, that one slow first period. You know, we were down 2-0. Did a great job battling it back 2-2, but again, you know, kind of just another bad change decision in overtime. But again, right, like we came out slow in that first period, right? If we're not down 2-0 in the first period, the overtime doesn't happen, right? So, you know, and we battled back all game. You know, Addison Lawrence did a great job shutting it down the rest of the game after the first period. Eric Darlene had a great goal in the third period for his first.
And
A
we were just
triad
talking about
guy,
him
yeah,
last
triad
game.
guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
so there you go.
He's made himself known.
Yeah, he was a great pickup second
Yeah.
semester, no doubt about it. That was kind of a heartbreaking loss just because, you know, they came into the game not playing particularly well, and you know, credit to them after that game, they started playing probably their best hockey this semester. We felt like we were playing well, but again, the first period wasn't great. Second and third were good, but you know, you have to play 60 minutes.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning, you know, this was the senior night for some of those
It was.
boys. What does that factor kind of add on to the game as well?
I think, yeah, you know, those special nights they take you out of their rhythm a little bit.
Yeah.
I enjoy them because you're celebrating some great players and great young men and families that are worth celebrating. As a coach, it's difficult because it does throw you out of the natural rhythm of things. That being said, we're a little bit fortunate in that, you know, we actually have, for forwards, we have a line of seniors, right? So you don't have so that wasn't out of norm. Like they play with each other. Alex James and Ricky Frosch as D pairings were playing with each other a lot towards the end of the year. So that at least kept it a little bit more normal for us. But yeah, you know, I do find a lot of these senior nights, most teams start slow. I think like even UNC the weekend before had started slow. And it's a catch-22. You almost want to find like a cupcake game for your senior night and then you don't have to worry about that. But like we don't play many of those. We want to play top teams all the time. I don't want to schedule a cupcake late in the year that close to the project playoffs. You want a good team coming in, you know, to make sure you're sharp going in.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then, you know, talking about notable players, I kind of want to talk about a couple more. Captain Zach Herman, who was named the 2025 ACCHL Forward of the Year, and then Daniel Prosma, Rookie of the Year. What does that mean for the team?
Yeah, the best news is, right, Herman is on a 5-year plan, so we still have for 2 more years. And Prosma's a freshman, and they both went over 50 points. We have not had 2 50-point scorers since the 2018-19 year with Leith Chidala and Sam Banashevitz. And, you know, those are great players. That being said, they did not play the schedule we played. Or the strength of schedule. Our schedule this year, just numerically, even if you look back at the rankings, is twice as hard as that schedule. So what these guys would have even scored against that schedule, they might have been in triple digits. And Sam and Leith are great players, just amazing players. I can't, you know, stress that enough. But the season that Herman and Prosma had was truly impressive. And the best part is, you know, we'll have them both together for 2 more years, and we'll have Prosma for 2 more years.
Prosma being a freshman, that's nice.
Well, the other thing too is, right, they are so team first. I mean, I'm not going to say they don't care about their points, but
it's not at the top of their mind.
They want to win. They want to score a lot of points because it helps us win, right? They don't want to score. They don't care if they're scoring 7 points against Bowling Green, right? They want to make sure they want to score in the big games because it helps the team win. They don't care who has the goal. They don't care who has the assist. They just want to win. And the other thing about particularly Herman, like he shows up in the big moments. You look at that stretch that he had against Liberty and Virginia Tech. It was really impressive. And what I'm really happy about for Herman is he's lived under some other players in the league shadows. And we've known the whole time that he is probably the best, you know, player. I think Herman is the best player in the league. Because he's just the smartest player, the stuff he can do in all 3 zones, great defensive draw
Yeah,
man.
he's
You
very
know,
versatile.
yeah, if you're watching, we'll send him out for D zone draws on the penalty kill and then get him off just because he's that good in all three areas. And he sees the game. He's a student of the game, and he's just a fierce competitor.
Yeah.
Prasma's the same way. Fierce competitor. You know, I heard Brady Chuck on Spit and Chicklets last week, and he talked about, you know, one thing that is, you know, his dad Walt always said to him
Yeah.
is, you know, great teammate, great competitor. And that is Prasma. So, right, we could talk about the points. We can talk about the filthy Mets. We can talk about the Jets.
Right.
But above all else, he is a competitor and a teammate.
Yeah.
And that's the type of guy that you want those guys leading the way. You don't want guys who are doing the wrong thing off the ice at the top of your lineup. And so they do the right things on the ice. They do the right things off the ice. They want to win. And that sets the tone for the rest of the team. And guys want to come here and play with them.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so Prasma, there's a lot of good North Carolina guys playing juniors right now. And they come back and they see Prasma's experience. Prasma's all fired up about the experience. So he's the type of guy that, you know, guys that are playing juniors local want to come back and play
and they see him like he's closer in age to them because he is a freshman. It's like, oh, I can do that in a couple years. Like I don't have to wait until I earn my spot. So I think that's good. He's a very fundamental player. And now I want to talk about the Governor's Cup because, Coach, I'm a little disappointed because I have to say I wasn't there for the first time in 2 years. I wasn't there.
That's on you.
I missed a good game.
So you did. You know, first of all, I want to thank a few people with that. You know, to have a Sunday slot at 5 p.m. was amazing.
Yeah.
So I want to thank first Shane Willis, who is the Canes director.
Yeah, he's great.
Community hockey. He's just terrific. So I want to thank him. I want to thank Doug Worf, president of the Canes, making sure that this happens. I want to thank Governor Cooper for his support of it. I really let me make this clear. You know, whenever he comes out and people boo, like, you're talking about two ACCHL teams that a sitting executive of a state makes time to come and see.
Yeah.
So I don't care what your politics are. The fact that we have the governor of this great state, you know, making sure it's a can't miss, and now obviously has a little bit more free time on his hands but you know, making this a priority. That just shows where this game is and where these two teams have come up. And I know he's a UNC guy, but he has an NC State jersey now, but he's been equal opportunity for both programs, and so you know, having that type of support is outstanding. And then the crowd support. You know, first of all,
8,200 people.
Well, and we had our highest amount of youth hockey players there. We did 1,000 youth hockey comps, which was exciting. And to me, that's the other thing too, right? Is for those youth hockey players to be able to be in the building. We had Frigid down to the south there as always. So they did a great job. And so, you know, there's a lot that, you know, the Arena Ferry just doesn't show up and make that game happen. No. There's a lot that goes into it, you know. So thank you to Harrison Eaton and his work in marketing, Katie Golick, you know, with the photography team and media. So there's a lot that goes into it. Wade Minter to make sure that happens. And it was a great night. And the fans got treated to a great game. You know, it was tight. You know, went up 2-0, and you know, how you play with the lead really does vary, right? And even when they got it back to 2-1, I never really felt like we were going to lose that game.
Yeah.
And just the way we were playing, the way Isaac Toyer was playing in net, he was terrific. The way guys were locking it down. It's a trophy game, so it should be played with a playoff mentality. And the guys really took a playoff mentality to it, blocking shots, not making mistakes once you got up into the lead. And obviously, you know, it was really nice to be able to get those two empty netters late. It was able to take a little bit of the pressure off.
A little bit of breathing room.
More. But it was nice to have that trophy back in Raleigh, where it should be. And, you know, it made the rounds to some of the boys' houses on campus. So, you know, I'm sure some apple juice was drank out of it.
I'm
you
sure.
know, nothing more. You know, so, but, you know, great crowd. You know, obviously we want to win it every year, right? I think we'd won it the first 5 years, and some of the games weren't particularly compelling. I hate to say this, UNC, being that they had it the last 2 years to be able to get that back, it, made it more meaningful.
Oh yeah, a little bit more
Instead
sweeter.
for a long time it had just been kind of a checklist thing.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to roll there, check, come back. And, you saw, the guys on the ice that it meant something because it should mean something to beat the school up the road.
Yeah.
And I think for too long it actually meant more for them to beat us than for us to beat them.
Yeah.
So, those rivalry games are special. It's what makes college sports college sports.
Yeah.
It's what makes the triangle different too, right? Like you have the three schools.
And it's all about building that hockey in the South.
It is. And, and thanks to the fans, we've really proven what we've built down here, right?
Yeah.
People all the time ask me, oh, what about going NCAA Division I? Like, that's a $75 to $100 million proposition.
Yeah.
All we can do is prove that the fan support is here.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
prove
for
it
sure.
time and time again. Wolfpack Nation, you prove it time and time again that the fan support is there.
Yeah.
8,200, 75% of that are NC State fans. And
Yeah.
it should be. Lenovo's our home,
Yeah.
right? The Canes play
It
there
is.
too, but,
It is.
and it was nice seeing it, an NC State team get a win in there too.
Yeah, it was. Well, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but we're going to head to break real quick, but we'll be back in a minute.
We build it, you demolish it. The legendary Homewrecker Burrito. Come build yours today with 20 plus fresh ingredients.
First online order, 10% off. Promo code online.
Hi, welcome back. Well, Coach, I'm really disappointed I missed that game. It sounds like a great one.
It was. And we have to talk about the uniform setup too.
Yes.
I
we
mean,
need
it
to talk
was,
about
yeah,
that.
I mean, we knew so when, Harrison and I had been talking about these for a while.
I love them.
And Harrison, kind of, we talked a little bit of what we want, and Harrison, just the design process that we go through
Yeah.
came out with something. And we were talking to the MLB Raleigh guys a bit too, because it does kind of have a baseball flavor to it.
It does.
Yeah, and one of the earlier kind of drafts of it really dove into the MLB Raleigh perspective, and the shoulder patch actually had that 919 home plate logo to really push forward that. But then we decided, well, that makes it kind of a one-night thing, and we wanted these to be something we could wear in Raleigh regularly. We only play one. The only time we ever play in Raleigh is at Lenovo. So we really wanted to celebrate that. And so, I saw some people kind of asking the why. Raleigh is our home. Raleigh is NC State's home. And Raleigh is a great home to NC State. So we wanted to honor that. So, the 919 Acorn has some little hidden things into it.
Yeah.
The check marks are for each ACC title.
Yeah.
The dotting of the I is an acorn inside. It says the City of Oaks. So that jersey is really, our thank you to the City of Raleigh for always supporting us. Because one of the things, we believe, we're not just NC State's college hockey team, we're Raleigh's college hockey team. And so we wanted to honor that. And I thought we played with a great spirit too. And that jersey has been hugely popular. I think it's getting close to the initial sales of being on par with what these Frozen Finley jersey was. The rollout was great. Thanks to our friends Red and White. Our customer sale is close on that, but if you want one, you still can get to the Red and White shop. Go see Mario. They take great care of us.
Yeah, I've seen people wearing them.
Oh my God.
It's big.
He sold out of his initial order by the end of the
crazy.
first period.
Yeah.
And so they just got them restocked, and with the wait list, I think they're already halfway gone there.
Gosh.
I love, and actually this is great when recruits come in for games, is if they go to a Hurricanes game and they walk around and they see all of our jerseys, or, when this is different almost than any other sport. I mean, people wear jerseys to other sports, but I think hockey, there's something to wearing jerseys to games that's even more intrinsic to hockey. And when you look at one of our games, or you look at one of the crowd shots when we're at Invisalign, you see so many people in our jerseys. Of course, we're up to 5-6 different ones now. We're like the Oregon football team at this point, the Maryland football team. But you see people in our jerseys, and that means a lot to us.
Yeah.
That is one of our biggest areas of support. I don't think people really know this. We are really self-supported.
Yeah.
The university has a lot of club teams to support. So this isn't about the university and their support. They support us in a lot of ways. We have the band out there. There's other parts of the university that work with us, PackTV working with us.
Yeah.
So even though the financial support isn't huge, it's only about $3,500 a year. Our program is well into six figures to run. So those jersey sales are really important to us. But it's also when you go out and you see that atmosphere and you see so many in our jerseys, that's part of what makes hockey hockey.
Yeah.
And so you see it, at Invisalign, the Governor's Cup, but it's a lot of fun too. I was at the Canes game on Sunday night against Calgary, and there was someone right in that corner, right in the TV shot, up and down dancing in the Raleigh red.
My mom texted me. She was at that game. She said, "I just saw someone in that jersey."
Or you walk around and you see, you walk around outside between periods and you see people in our jerseys at a Canes game. As I said, it really helps when we have recruits in the town, and that's at the point where sometimes recruits really get what's going on here.
Yeah.
When
they
see
the
that,
impact.
it's not, if you go to Boston, you see people in BC jerseys, you see people in BU jerseys. It's the same way down here now, which is really awesome and truly special.
No, that's amazing. And then I wanted to shift a little bit more into the playoffs.
Sure.
Now. We got to talk about it. They did take care of business against Rowan with that 6-2 win, and then kind of fell short Virginia Tech. We already talked about it.
And and Virginia Tech was a very good team this year, right? They were, it was weird. We had the higher ACC ranking, they had the higher, but it was all very close.
Yeah.
First we came out against Rowan, and Rowan knocked us out last year en route to it. I thought we did a really good job. We got up early. We didn't, we stayed out of the muck, so no one, was tossed out for the next game.
Right.
It was a game that was a really good first round playoff game because we didn't actually have to expend a ton of energy to win that game. We were able to get up comfortably. Third period was interesting. I have to give credit to their coaches. They kept pulling. Anytime they get a power play, they'd pull their goalie to make it 6-on-4. They scored one, but then we also got an empty net on it. So, but that's a competitor, and I appreciate coaches like that looking, for the edge. And they had to win. For people that don't know, the ACCHL postseason works just like the NCAA postseason. Yeah, you have your conference tournaments. Rowan was someone that was not going to get an at-large bid, so they needed to win the conference tournament to go to the ACCHL postseason. So they weren't going away without a fight, but our guys weathered that storm in the third period.
Yeah, that's really good. And then the ending of the season, I mean, we can talk about that with the 5-6 overtime loss. Yeah.
That was, we've had some inventive ways that we've lost leads in the third period this year. Yeah. That was really one of the wildest games that we've played. We came out, we were playing well. They were up 1-0 at the end of the first, and then they scored one up 2-0 at the beginning of the second. But we were playing well. Shots were in. We were getting chances. It was actually Zach Robinson's best game of the year in the first. Yeah, Z-Rob. Gonna miss that guy.
Yeah.
And their goalie made just an unbelievable paddle save on him. But we were playing well. The guys kept going through it. Got it to 2-1, and then kind of a weird sequence happened. Jake Gifford scores to make it 2-1. He actually hurts his knee, pretty, a fairly significant injury as we're now finding. We get a power play. He goes out for the power play. We and the trainer had said, I think he's okay. He goes out for the power play. And, a particular movement, which we didn't know, he really wasn't. So he has to actually hop off. As we're shifting kind of on the fly for it. And power plays are very set units and set pieces, right? And so we actually give a shorthanded goal kind of in that interchange, and now we're down 3-1. But the guys weathered the storm, and we actually took a 4-3 lead at the end of the second. Probably one of our best 5 minutes of the season. It was awesome. We scored a power play goal to go up 5-3. I think that was a Z-Rob goal to go up 5-3, or maybe I think it was to go up 5-3 at the end, rather about 4 minutes into the third. Shortly thereafter, Herman has a breakaway. Their goalie makes a great save. I mean, he had a good move. Goalie made a great save, tip your cap. And then this weird sequence happened, and this is what let Miami back into the game, where I think it was Lapani had a really good hit behind our goal. Totally clean, no penalty, and the guy's hurt. I mean, he's down. I mean, I was kind of surprised they didn't blow the whistle because it looked fairly significant. And he was down for a little bit. Puck's kind of coming out of the zone. We don't quite get it out. We're not covering the guy behind the net because he's hurt. I mean, he looks like he's done. He, you know, rises from the dead, and you know, like a U10 player that suddenly isn't really hurt, but is hurt, but isn't hurt. So he comes up and he's in front of the net, and of course we're not covering because we don't think. And so, you know, the puck goes down, and that kind of lets them back in the game, and they kind of get an odd goal. You know, when we've had our third period collapses this year, a lot of times it's been bad changes or stupid penalties. It wasn't that way, right? That was a weird play. The fifth goal was kind of an odd goal. You know, our D had done a good job pushing him outside. Hockey can be a fickle game sometimes, and that third period kind of demonstrated that. Go to overtime. We actually had a couple chances. There was one where we thought we might have scored early. Actually, two that we thought we might have scored. The refs were on top of it, right position, so definitely didn't cross. And then they kind of get one coming back off of a rebound, and you know, your season's over. And that's tough. You know, it's tough going back in the locker room. Seeing
Unpredictable.
Things. And you get to the ACCHL postseason, and you know, as you know, only one team ends the year happy, right? Like, at the most you can ask for is that you felt like you competed in the game you went out on. And I felt we did that. I thought we played well. You know, we didn't mail it in. You know, you look at some teams up there that weekend. You know, for example, Penn State had a great regular season, but they got boat raced by Indiana, right? So, you know, I'm sure they're in the lock. You know, we feel regret because we had a 2-goal lead in the third period. What we don't feel regret about was that we didn't show up. We did. We did. And we had our chances in overtime. Even after they came back. You know, we went down to led, you know, tied, still had chances all throughout. So credit to them. And I think that goes to the senior leadership too. Which, you know, kind of want to transition and thanking those guys. So, you know, first of all, Zach Robinson, who was our president this year. Geez, I haven't, you know, coached a NC State team without a Robinson on it since 2017, 18. And so, you know, Zach was a great president for us. And, you know, and this is going to be a theme with all these graduating guys, but particularly Zach and Alex James, just the personal growth and maturity I've seen out of them is really special to see. Zach, it wasn't always an easy 4 years for Zach, but he, you know, the way I saw him grow was just tremendous. I'll miss having Zach there, and I'll miss having Catherine Robinson there too, right? Like you see the parents there. You know,
that's true.
You know, when you coach college sports, you don't actually really do much with the parents, but you respect the parents that are really there for the right reasons and doing, you know, and Zach and Alex and actually Ricky Frosch's parents, when we went to Slovenia last year, they traveled with us. So, right?
I did not know that.
So, you know, in that one,
That's
you know,
special.
when you're traveling internationally, you know, there was a day where we, with the Maryland players and the Virginia Tech players, we kind of got them all together and we went into Italy for a day. So, you know, when you're sharing those types of experiences, right, you get to know them in a little bit of a different way. Drew Breshingham's mom was on that. Parents were on that trip too. Graduated last year. So, you know, it's really, and then, so you go, and Alex James is someone that I saw just grow so much. You know, Alex is, by the way, Z-Rob's graduating close to a 4.0. AJ should graduate close to a 4.0. So, you know, academics, these truly are student athletes. And, you know, AJ, who, you know, we joke, we actually added taking an extra D because AJ was so hurt over the course of his 4 years, but his perseverance, right?
And he's a resilient player. For sure.
Resilient player. And, you know, AJ, you don't end up being a 4.0 in business without having a perfectionist streak to you. And this is something that him and I talked about, and that, you know, and that can be rough. And AJ really had to learn resiliency when perfection wasn't there all the time. And he really did that. And again, his, you know, spent time with his dad over in Europe last year. So that was a lot of fun. And then Thomas McEnany, the third person on that line, with the forward line. Well, no, there's two more because we did one of the D's. So then Thomas McEnany, who, you know, played 3 years for us, you know, wanted to get in solid in his freshman year. that was a guy who early on every year seemed like he was in and out of his lineup, but just perseverance.
Yeah.
And, before he came to us, he was a really an elite goal scorer in youth hockey ranks, but fashioned his game into be one of the best penalty killers out there. And that says a lot too with who he is. I mean, great penalty killer, along with Emery Oliver, another senior, who again, when he came in, Z-Rob was such a goal scorer, and some of the other seniors, well, now that were goal scorers, and you want to be that. But like he recognized that. I mean, the guy became a sponge with blocking shots.
Yeah.
I would argue one of our best penalty killers of all time. I think he's leaving third in games played.
Wow.
And so just to compete, and Emery. If you see Emery without his equipment on, I mean, I'm not sure that dude's 165 pounds soaking wet. But his and all that weight is in his heart, right, in the way he plays. So certainly going to miss him. And we touched on Alex James, one of the D. Ricky Frosch, our all-time games play leader. I think he finishes with 144. Zach Kerman actually will probably eclipse him in a couple of years, so enjoy the record while you have it. But he's an interesting one because, right, he had the all-time games lead. He got hurt. Garrett Arini passes him. He comes back this year. And what I was really happy for Ricky is you don't often get to finish your competitive career on your terms. And last year, he finished it on. He was hurt at the end of last year.
Yeah.
He came back and he was on the ice. Obviously, you want to win, but he finished it on the ice, not up in the stands in a swing. And that is, I know that was special for him and his family. Ricky's been here so long. Sometimes you see the families grow up too. Like his sister actually lives down here, married. Ricky wasn't an uncle when he gets here, so now you see. So you see his nephews at the game, right? And not just a newborn. So that's a lot of fun too when you talk about seeing the families grow. Ricky will be on to medical school next year, so have to talk. And then Addison Lawrence. Addison Lawrence was a guy who was a really high-end junior goalie, and it hurts me that we didn't get to the final on Sunday because he was going to play the regional final. But Addison Lawrence, you see a lot of guys that they have these bad junior hockey experiences or injuries, and they kind of fall out of love with the game, and they come back to NC State and they fall back in love with the game. And that was certainly Addison's story. Again, just another great young man. I think, it's such a good senior class, and I think what I'm most proud of is, they're good hockey players, but they're really good human beings going out into the world. And that's, I think, as a coach, all we can ask for it, and so really proud of them, and we'll miss them. We know we'll see some of them around the rink.
They'll be back.
Ricky's parents joke about in 17 years. Well, I'm like, look, I'm not going to be behind the bench in 17 years. I'll be outside the glass watching with you when he comes through. But again, I really want to, and then I want to be thankful for our staff. We have a great staff, and Eric Muir. And what's really cool is this staff has been together so long now. Eric Muir we had as a player, after graduate kind of took a year, then right back as a coach. Alex Rosetta, our goalie coach, actually started the year before me. Fong's, so this finished my 8th year with the program. I only had 1 year without Fong, then he came in as a player and stuck around. The G Board, who joined us this year, was terrific skills coach. You had Jess Tart as our equipment manager, kind of like, played, then immediately went into equipment managing, and such a great asset. Harrison Eaton, my whole 5 years as head coach. Katie Golick, who's been there. I think she's 4 now. You have Eric Tamino, who came in with the assistant equipment manager, who's a senior, so I want to thank him. Gage, who did some of our stats. And then also want to big thanks. We redid our front of the house staff this year with Emma Shepard and Bon Barone. They did such a great job. Emma's a graduate actually of Campbell, and Bon's a freshman, and they just did such a great job.
They were
our
fun
fans had a
with.
great experience. And then the PackTV crew, right? Being rebranded ESPN. I do not want people to forget this. That is a PackTV crew. And yes, Walker and Brandon and Chris Lehman, they're, so to speak, adults in the world. But, that is primarily a student-led crew. And what I love about PackTV, and we were just talking about this with BJ over lunch, and hopefully you continue in that as you're graduating, Delaney, as I look at the people that started with us in hockey, we have people that have come through us, through PackTV, whether hockey or not, or off at the MLB network. You have Drew Blevins, who's calling ACHL games. You have Haley Germain, who went with the Bills and now is back. Not Haley Parker, rather. And so you have all these people that have started here and through the work done with PackTV. We're grateful for it, and you all do such a terrific job.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it too. It's awesome to see people come out of starting in PackTV. I started in PackTV too.
Yes, so that's what I mean. You're being launched.
And now, I hope that I can do what those people.
And not with PackTV, but Wade Minter, voice of the Canes, he started with us and still does us. So, and then one last special thanks to people that we added this year. Sarah says, and the frigid sound of ice. There are not many. There are not many ACHA teams that have a full-time band. So if you're watching this, I'm breaking the rule of breaking the third wall here and speaking directly to the camera. But thank you to the Frigid Sound of the South. They're, what a great ad this year.
Yeah, they really make the environment what it is. But yeah, that's it, Coach.
It's a wrap on the season.
We're wrapping up. That's a wrap on my in front of the camera experience with PackTV as well. Just about. It's been a fun 3 years. Thanks for doing it with me, Coach.
My pleasure.
But yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Go Pack for the last time.
As we're getting you set for tonight's game here at PNC Arena, the Governor's Cup. A heated rivalry as always, but have not lost playing a game in this arena. And Healy, he's excited. It's a big matchup. He was incredibly impressed by the team's performance on the road at Cincinnati, and they're looking to finish the semester off with a bang.
Championship caliber team zone. Never let teams creep in. They never take their foot off the gas.